showing my picture.
Oh.
I'm good.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
All right, thank you all for being here today. I know we're circulating the sign-in sheet. I wanted to go ahead before we get started. This was the contract extension that Ron and I had signed last week, and that way you have it for your records. It gives us till September 17th. We have quite a few. We have some economics and some non-economic stuff to counter at this point, and we have one new proposal that's a non-economic issue as well. Thought to just kind of speed up the process and move things along. I'll just go ahead and hand everything out at once rather than kind of going piece by piece by piece. You know, we've gotten through a lot of things, a lot of items, so I feel like this should move pretty quickly. First one. I have followed some of y'all's format as far as the economic package goes, but what I have attached are the actual counters. A lot of what's in there are stuff we've either already sort of agreed upon or we have already countered, but I have attached what's basically new. And I bolded that so you'll see what's new in there. The other two items that I have. This is a non-economic item as it relates to personal leave for probationary employees. Item that I have for you today, this morning is actually a counter to an item that you put forward in our last meeting as it relates to the assessment center.
Okay.
So Scott, I thought we could handle it one of two ways. Either we could just put everything out and then we can briefly caucus, so that way it gives you an opportunity to look at everything one time and come back with questions. Or I could go through each one, but then I didn't know if you're still going to have individual questions once y'all meet. I didn't want to have to do, trying to move the process along, but it's up to you.
I think what I'd like to do is just have you go over the proposals just to see where the mindset is.
Okay.
What you're trying to accomplish, and then we can caucus from there.
Okay. I'll tell you on the assessment center, the department did recognize some of the issues that you had stated that actually were part of why the proposal even came forward in the first place. But we did change that a little bit in order to actually make sure that it's feasible and doesn't X out certain testing companies or testing individuals versus others. And that was another reason why we changed the adequate number, because to do what y'all have proposed and what we've sort of played with here, we think would in some instances actually take more than 6 certified officers. So that number could change depending on how it actually works out and unfolds. But really, there was consensus that whoever actually acts out shouldn't be the one that actually grades the test as well. So we have incorporated that into it. We just played with that one a little bit. The personal leave, this has become, I'd say a huge issue, but it has become an issue where individuals who get outside of the academy and are now in their FTO program, they're still under their probationary period, so they're really not entitled to get time off, use their time, but yet have this time that's put into their banks and they have to use it by a certain date or they lose it. So in order to make sure that it doesn't, that we don't have that issue before, or we don't have to give individuals who are in the FTO program time off when they really need to be there at work, we have changed the language to put that an individual has to actually successfully complete their probationary period before they actually are entitled to receive the 40 hours of personal leave. Then once you receive that, then of course you receive it every year, and you have to use it between August 1st and July 31st of the following year. This will just clear up that really you're not getting personal leave until your probationary period has been successfully completed. And we're using successfully completed because we do know that there are rare occasions where an individual's probationary period has to be extended for one reason or another.
Okay, so a couple of questions on that.
Okay.
Under the contract right now, they are afforded that right, so to speak, to earn personal leave, correct?
Yep.
So they are entitled to it. The second thing is, I think the probationary period language is too vague, in that a newly promoted lieutenant goes on probation for 1 year, and according to this language, he or she would no longer be able to use and earn and therefore use personal leave, which is currently what they do right now, as probably does a captain, but I would have to double check about the captain being on probation. So we would need to look, and if this is something that we're going to TA on, tweak those so that we're not penalizing the lieutenants and captains that have been.
Right, that's definitely not the intent,
right.
if that's the case.
Right.
And,
So the word initial probationary period
maybe, yeah, it might just be adding initial or
doesn't apply
entry.
for promotional probation.
Or probation officer or something that effect, where it delineates the lieutenants and the captains.
Entry, probationary
Yeah,
period, yeah. I'm
something
thinking
like
that can be an easy fix
Okay.
to
New-
make sure that we don't.
newly hired.
Newly hired or new employees.
Well, so we also have the lateral transfer process. We're going to have to see how that language.
I think it'll
Blends
apply.
as well.
It would have the same effect. We want lateral hires to also get through their probationary period until they receive this as well. So I don't think we should, so that's why even just newly hired or, coming entry employees should cover both.
Hey, just real quick also on this, promotion, I think there's, based on what we get TA for, part on here, where it says 1 in 6 successors may be chosen by state, that whole line was taken out in the previous TA. And then they played this language, that was when they played back over there.
You're right.
On which part?
It says 1 of the 6 successors may be chosen by the state. On
Yes.
Our initial TA, we had taken that
Taken
line out.
that.
We
Completely.
keyed that
Yeah.
on 6/6.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I'll
wasn't because of that,
find
yeah.
its way back in until we get that back
Okay,
out.
we can account for that as well. Thank you. Did you want me to go through the economics? and
Sure.
stuff? All right. So the first attachment that you'll find is just a restate of the previous position that the previous salary schedule, salary of 1,222. That was actually our previous counter. second item, which is as it relates to the healthcare.
Okay.
And we still have the CDHP plan as the sole plan for the department. We have made changes to the deductible and the out-of-pocket max, which in turn actually affects the co-insurance and so forth. So if you'll see on that first page, we have changed the deductible to $3,500 per individual. And then there is a $3,500 out-of-pocket max, which in essence means if you hit your deductible, you hit your out-of-pocket
Okay.
max, and so the plan is going to cover it 100%, very similar to what is in place currently. So all that kind of 80-20, 90-10 counters that we had previously has been removed and is back to the subject to deductible and then 100% coverage. The HSA has stayed the same, 1,000 for employee and 2,000 for employees that have dependents enrolled. And everything else has stayed the same. We did add on that last page, Scott, I don't think this has ever been an issue with PD, but for clarification purposes, we wanted to make sure, and this relates to retiree coverage. The language added was if at any time the retiree chooses to leave the city's group health insurance or the city's fully insured plan offerings for Medicare, coverage will cease for any and all dependents. So you can't have the employee leave the plan, but then still want to cover the dependents on it.
And I think what you're talking about is post 65, where the retiree hits 65, therefore is no longer in this plan, needs to get the Medicare supplement so that the dependents, whatever they are, whether it's spouse and or children, can therefore stay on the city plan from there, correct?
The employee would move out into that, and once they move out, the dependents could not stay under the city plan at that point.
Okay, I thought when we talked about this before, the understanding is that the retiree has to go to the city supplement.
Right.
So that the family can stay
The family
on.
would stay, but if the retiree chooses to go like on AARP and leave the city umbrella, then the family's no longer eligible to remain on the
Right,
plan.
okay.
Do we know what the premium would be for retirees in this plan?
We have the premium breakdown. I think we handed that to you last time, didn't we? I'll need to go back and look. I think we gave you all the premium.
The retiree is paying for 100% of the after
Yeah.
costs, only billed on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
You called it the dollar amount for that?
I'm sorry?
The dollar amount for that premium, do you recall what that was?
We'll get it for you.
We'll get it. This is last year's current rate.
Is it still gonna be blended for the retirees?
Yeah, because it's 100% of the premium, so it's built in, still subsidized.
It is.
But yeah, because
Okay.
otherwise they'd have a separate premium if you were.
Okay.
So subsidized, they would still get 2,000, 1,000? Is that, you say subsidized?
No. The premium, the retirees are blended and subsidized by the actives, so they're paying the same premium that actives are paying, except they're paying the monthly amount.
And they have to set up their HSA account. and say,
Retirees are not eligible for an HSA.
They wouldn't have that.
Right.
They're going to throw a monkey wrench in this plan for retirees, since you can't have an HSA, or you required to have an HSA?
No, you're not.
You're not.
No. Yeah.
That's governed by
IRS.
IRS. Yeah, that's governed by IRS.
let me check one. No, I don't, does anybody else have any questions? All right. I guess we're ready to caucus then.
Do you have anything for us that we
I do
should
have one
consider at
thing
this point
for
then?
you.
that we
Yeah.
should be supposed to be looking at?
This was actually something that you and I had discussed, I don't know, a year or so ago, I guess. And this is a proposal in which it's geared around holidays, and we have employees that are either on call or due to the nature of their assignment, they are deemed non-essential on a holiday such as Labor Day. It happened this past Labor Day, and they get called back into work. And at that point, they no longer have their day off, and it's our opinion that they need to recoup that vacation time. And so that's what the language is there, because they may have started off the day sitting up there with the family barbecuing, but by the time they get the call, get dressed, go down to work, they're at work for 3 or 4 hours on the call out, and then get back home after everything's said and done, they really never had a day off. So what we're asking for is that they be given the vacation day back, either on an 8 or a 10-hour block, depending on what they're working.
It applies to non-essential employees, which is going to be a handful of detectives. I mean, shift work, you work and you're not working, but if 4th of July comes and that's your work day, but the chief says you're non-essential, take the holiday, and so you go home. But then in the middle of the day, they call you back to go to work. You come back and work, that's not a problem, but you don't get the holiday back. So you just lose it, so it's like as if you never had the holiday.
What if it came outside of your regular schedule? So if say you're a detective and you're an 8 to 5 on 4th of July, and you get called in at 8 p.m. that night.
Yeah, but you're still released from work. I get it. I mean,
Because, you had your 8 hours from 8 to 5, right? On your 4th of July, and even if it was a regular day and you worked from 8 to 5, you could still be called back at 8, right?
Right.
So I guess that's where, I get if you get called back at 8 in the morning on 4th of July, and never really have the day then, but I'm a little concerned as far as depending where it falls, does that impact it and possibly matter if it's outside your regular shift?
Well, if the day off is the day off, then in my mindset, it doesn't matter whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. You were called back into work on a holiday. And the guy that you're standing right next to right then that made the initial homicide scene, guess what he's doing? He's earning a vacation day. What are you doing? Standing next to him getting nothing. That's what it boils down
But
to.
he wouldn't have been at home from 8 to 5, right? He would have been.
He's at work.
He's at work.
Yeah,
so
what
I'm
are you
saying
doing? You're at work.
I'm at home from 8 to 5, so I've got 8 hours there. But if I go in from, say, 8 to 10 that night, I'm going to get my 8 hours that I was at home, plus 8 hours from the holiday, and then the 2 hours I worked. I'm actually getting more than the guy who was working that day.
that's because
Who was working from 8 to 5. If I'm now the traffic guy who had to respond, I'm a little ticked off because, hey, wait a minute, I've actually been here from 8 to 5. You were at home those 8 hours, but I'm only getting 8 plus my 2. You're getting 16.
No,
plus these-
because you burn 8. So for Labor Day, you burn 8. They take 8 from you. Then they give it back to you, so it's a wash. Our argument is, well, now you're going into work, you need to be giving that 8 back. You need to earn 8 because you didn't get the day off. You're at work.
it's not an 8 to 5 holiday, it's the holiday. And you may have planned to go somewhere that evening, you might have planned to go to the lake, but now you can't I mean, you might have had a big
That
family.
can happen
get-
any day, right?
No, but this is you can have them go to work. The city chose to send them home. You can have the detectives sit there and answer calls. It's their regular work day, you see, but the city chose to send them home. So they don't have to pay the time and a half. So if you're gonna interrupt their holiday, no matter what time, then they should get that day back that they can use as they wish, go wherever they want. And it's not just people on restricted call, because there are people not on restricted call that might get called in. See, it's only gonna happen to a few people, and only those that were non-essential employees on a day that was their regular work day.
How are you defining non-essential?
Your schedule, it says you're scheduled to work that day, and the chief can send you home and say, you're taking off with the rest of the city workers. We don't need you, we don't want to pay you overtime, and that's pretty common among the detectives. I don't think patrol, that's not going to happen, but detectives, you can work that day, you're scheduled to work that day, it's a Wednesday, but the chief says you can't come in today, take off and burn that holiday. Okay, fine. So I plan stuff, and even if I'm unrestricted, as long as I don't drink, but I could go within some distance. I might decide to go fishing. And so in the late in the afternoon, I'm deciding to go, and they go, no, you got to come back to work. It's fine. You come back to work. It's okay. That's your job. But then you never got the holiday to enjoy. It's not just a set of hours. You're off Christmas Day, or you're off Easter. And then you say, but I want you to come back. Okay, fine. It's fine. Just give me my day back, and a later day I'll take my holiday. We just think you ought not lose the holiday, because you can have them work or not work. You chose not to have them work to save money. Well, if you have to call them back, it costs you a little bit of money, but you save the time and a half for sending them home. If they sit there, they get time and a half or double time and a half, depending on the holiday. We get it. We just don't think you ought to lose the day.
I know earlier you had a proposal, I'm just trying to see if that is impacted at all as it relates to kind of premium holiday pay if you work outside your regular schedule.
But that
That's
you're
not-
already
already
Those
at
are
work.
still just individuals who are working past what they were assigned to work.
Correct,
right?
that's right,
Just
correct.
want to make sure.
Yeah,
that's
that is
right.
two separate things.
You're already at work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are just your individuals who are,
It's a handful of people, accident investigators, homicide, they have to respond, but they don't necessarily need to sit around all day at the office getting double time. So if you don't call them, the city saves money. You don't call them in, you don't pay them the double time or the time and a half. They're off, but you didn't need them that day.
okay. I'll talk with the department.
All right.
Is that the only one?
That's it.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about the other one real quick.
Yep, and give you some time.
What do you want to do?
Okay, just real quick, I'm going to give you some language changes to that personal leave proposal. We had the discussion regarding the probationary period and making sure that it didn't impact captains and lieutenants. So I went ahead and just added a little bit of language change to account for that. So we added to the first sentence there, complete initial entry, but also just to ensure that there's no confusion, added that last sentence, that first paragraph, this provision does not apply to probationary periods required for newly appointed lieutenants and captains.
Okay.
We all have that. And then, I think we're hoping to receive something from you.
the one that we've spoken about previously in the past.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this was kind of already covered, I think, when we talked about, in the rules manual, when we talked about a commander can, or deputy chief can authorize an officer to use their city vehicle for, off-duty job.
Yeah, I think part of the concern is, right, it is in the rules manual, but with a swipe of a pen, that can go away, or the commander in charge of whatever unit we're talking about, if that changes, that too can then change. Now, I would accept something in the rules manual that says for the next 99 years, I don't have a problem with that. So, something to chew on to go from there, and see what y'all think about it from there. There's a spot on the last page, bottom right, for TA.
Spot where?
Bottom right, I think it's on Keith's copy right there.
yeah.
It's water.
Rough on the line.
Yeah, watermark. There it is. I like that watermark. I put it on everything.
In section C, health insurance, that should be 3,500.
Yeah.
Should be
What is it,
3,500.
030 typo?
Well, you went
did
up,
that on
unless you
purpose,
just went up
didn't
on
you?
yourself.
You did that on purpose, didn't you? I'll find something.
Good thing we're very honest, we should have taken that, huh?
What, you plugged in?
Well, that too, but I mean,
All right, give us a few minutes. Sure. We have what is titled the city's last and best final offer to propose to you, and it's in the same format that you've previously provided. What is bolded and underlined here are the new changes, and everything else with what we've previously discussed and sort of agreed on as we discuss this as a package proposal altogether.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone? Okay, I guess we'll caucus.
Okay.
Y'all want to go to lunch, or y'all bring lunch, or did I just feed y'all lunch, or?
No, we thought we were gonna be done by 12.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
How long do you think you need?
By your time or my time? 30, 40 minutes for sure, minimum.
Yeah. Okay, let's just break an hour and we'll
Okay.
come back, so that's, well, also come back at 1.
That's fine. Okay, sounds good. Okay, we have something for y'all.
Don't be frozen on every word, it's a checklist.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I've almost got the red line done. While we were on break, I loaded most everything in there. The one I still need from you is just that double check that personal leave
Yes,
against
yeah,
the
I have that on
language.
mine.
And once you say, oh, this is what we want it to be, I'll plug it in.
Okay.
I should be able to get a red line copy to you before this weekend is over, if I get the chance. I've got a couple things to do, but
And I'll go back and,
what,
look at
and then
that.
you'll need to start checking. And then y'all can get together and work on typos or things. Because there's been so much paper going back and forth. I've tried to
Right.
keep up with, you know, what's new and what's not, so.
So you have each article listed out, but then only bulleted are the ones
If
that we
there's nothing
actually-
on them, then we didn't make any changes, or they're that little deputy chief, you know, commander deal, or a few little things. But I have it all in my red line copy. I just didn't try to list everything on just a checklist. And the closing, I'll clean that up. That was just We agreed on the 4 years.
Yeah. The interchangeable use in this Article 12, Section A.
That was language from you that we never discussed. I got it from somebody on some early meeting. I can go get it off my computer. It's something that y'all had some conversations with some paper, and I just plugged it in on some title changes, and I just left it in there. And that was stuff that I had when I got here. But remember y'all had several little back and forth discussions about some titles, and it was over in narcotics becomes this or that.
Yeah.
And it was
We have a
just,
TA,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
you-
that's that one. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if
divisional
it's-
name changes.
yeah, and there were things y'all had already agreed on, I just plugged it in.
Admin
I have that
bureau or
as
something.
Article 11, that's fine.
Where is it?
But, there we go.
Yeah, I think it's in 12.
It's 12A.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it should be 12.
Well, you wanna make a note on that?
Yeah, I'm not doing that one. All right, just making sure.
Okay.
If you caught
me on the mistake.
Okay.
I know there's still a lot of verbiage that has to be read and checked. I think they figured it out. Thank you, sir. I don't know why I use that. So I'm saving everything on a flash drive, but Apple doesn't want you to have flash
Lillian, just since we're on the record for clarification on the longevity, we kind of gone back and forth on some proposals, and y'all had a clause at one point that talked about no retroactive. And since, as I mentioned, we're all on the record, we're all here, I'd like for you to walk through and explain that so that we make sure we are indeed understanding exactly what we think we're understanding.
Okay. So,
This is what the current contract says, and that's what
Right.
we think it's gonna go to.
right.
So it never had any
Yeah.
language about retro, but
Yeah, that was, I guess, added into our, I think, our first counter proposal that we put
Correct.
forward
Mhm.
when I think we went to 8 or 10, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly where we're at. Two proposals back. So years of service are still going to be accounted for. It's not to say that, and I'm gonna use the 10-year because that's just easier math for me. 10-year officer today is receiving $60 a month. Say everything gets signed and is put into place say it was October 1. I know it's effective upon execution of this agreement. Let's say we got everything into place and we're at October 1. That officer, that 10-year officer, would now receive $150 a month moving forward.
Okay.
So he's not going to receive $75 a month. So we are going to account for those years of service and say, okay, we're accounting for it this entire time. We're not just jumping to 75, but we're also not going to go back and recalculate as if that individual officer should have been receiving $15 from year one and have some type of drag up pay or one big check to hand over and say, okay, this is what we would have owed. Would owe you if you had been receiving this entire time to catch up to today.
yeah,
That's not going to
yeah, I
happen.
understand. There won't be any drag-up pay because
Right.
so you're not accruing. We can put, if you want, I could put effective this date, this amount will increase to 15. That make it clear there's nothing before that. But if you've got 10 years and you make 60, October 1st you'll make 150, but you got paid for what you owed in the past. And I think we all agree on that. You can't go back and go recalculate it because
Right.
those
So
things
there's
change.
no
all-
updated service credit or what?
Yeah, repeat it.
Right. But it's also not 75, in that month, so we are accounting for it this entire time, not just 170, okay, from this point forward, you'll be receiving $50. We're accounting for those 10 years, but just moving forward.
So whatever time you have, when this agreement's executed, whatever time you have, capped at 25, you will earn $15 per month per year,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
You want me to put in effective October 1st, 2019? Or you just want to leave starting with the word longevity? It's not going to, the only downside, and that is a good point, the only downside, if everything is ratified and signed prior to October 1st, then we would have to put effectives on all of that new money. I don't want someone to argue that it goes in effect, that is the new contract. Well, it won't happen before October 1st. There's just that gap sometimes, that money starts October 1st. The contract may kick into place because it's ratified to start, but it'll say October 1st.
What do you I mean, and so he's saying in October 1st instead of effective upon the execution of the agreement.
Well, that's a question.
Yeah.
Because if we don't put effective and it goes past, then you're gonna owe retro money to October 1st.
Not if we agree to.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Effective.
I agree. That's what we're talking about, because these are monies kicking in, and the contract will be effective from October 1st. Well, actually, it's effective today.
Why couldn't we just say something like it'll be effective the first of the month following the ratification of the contract?
I'm trying to think what we've done in the past.
The first
Yeah.
day.
Well, we settled way before we got to,
Like it's the first pay period after the, how long that execution is.
Well, what difference does it make in the fact we've never had it there before? Once it's
Well-
passed, once we ratify it, then council ratifies it, then it goes into effect, right?
yeah, but if, well, I don't think it's gonna be done prior to October 1st.
I don't think so with council either.
You have to be humping it.
Yeah.
But then, if you don't, you have to say upon effective execution of the agreement, effective date of the agreement,
That's right.
this will be increased, but you have to do that on all the new money. Because otherwise, you go back and say, well, you didn't pay me till the middle of October, but the contract says October 1st, it's a new contract. And let me just think about it.
I see what you're saying,
We're on the
yeah.
same page.
We're good here, but you're right, as
I'm
far as.
thinking, or we
bomb
may
squad.
need a generic statement of some sort that
Yeah.
just
And I
says,
think we know for sure the insurance, we're looking at a January 1st start
I
date.
was
so
gonna
that's
ask you that,
We're
too.
gonna have to add that in.
yes, I need to do that, so.
Yeah. No. Go effective.
Effective January 1st.
Effective January 1st.
Open enrollment mid-December.
Yeah, which would be somewhat tough with
It's gonna be tight.
Christmas.
Christmas and people on vacation.
You've been signing that?
We need to extend that open enrollment period for an extra week or something.
All right,
I wrote on this one.
I'll get it all ready in a red line version and blue underlining, and then we can just kind of look, and we have plenty of time to plug that in.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I'll work with you on that.
Turn the top.
Thank you. Trying to get me to sign, aren't you? Send me here.
January 15th, I think.
It just depends on when we do open enrollment and when the effective date is. It's good for them.
I'm not independent.
It still has to be ratified.
I just wrote in on that second picture, we had the 4-year evergreen.
Yes,
Just had that,
I agree with
put it
that.
in there.
Here you go.
Can I get a copy of that? Fine.
You can
Okay.
just, you wanna keep it and scan it?
I can scan it too, but if you want to give me a copy now too.
Just want a copy?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll scan it in there.
I want to look at that date.
Got another plan right there, you can just.
Yes,
do
sign
two or
any of
three.
them.
Lilia, just one
Yeah,
copy.
you know what, we're just gonna,
5, so I can hand out to my executive team.
hey Steve, January 1st is a Wednesday, which means y'all would do some kind of open enrollment in December, which it's also gonna be really busy for our folks because of Christmas, all the manpower issues, we're gonna holiday initiatives. Do we have some flexibility there? In other words, is January 15th work, or does that create a problem? Okay.
Getting the pay period.
I would envision the open enrollment meeting start more like early November, so that we can get the information to the carrier and the car station about that to them.
And we can roll out the first. Yeah.
Right. Well, if it's just, change,
Well, I
then
don't know.
oh, that's true.
I have an issue with middle of the month, general application start dates with the carriers.
If they wanted to start, you have to back up about 6 weeks to 8 weeks in order to get, so we can get the enrollment information to the carrier and then,
Right, but
Let's lock in those
start date.
times right after we get the agreement ratified. Right then is when we can lock in.
Okay,
Yeah, it should be an issue.
okay.
But what Rose is saying is we would have to start open enrollment probably sooner than, not December, probably November.
And I think
To
that,
give enough time to
yeah.
notify the carrier of all the
Okay.
changes in the
and that probably works better.
I think, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Because the only obstacle there is Thanksgiving, and December is just a mess overall, so, okay. Yeah, depending on when we get ratification and council, though, yeah,
The sooner the better. We'll start as fast as.
okay. Okay. Well, we're not gonna do anything quite yet until we go through all the red lines with Lily and Ron and make sure everything's good from there.
Right.
And then we'll start disseminating information. So,
Well, I'll have my end done before the weekend's over, because I've been working on it, so then it's just a matter of y'all sitting down and
Yeah, I'll try to get
there'll
back to
be
you
other
by
small things that'll come up.
maybe Monday or Tuesday,
Yeah.
the latest. Yeah, I'll get it back early in the week, early next week,
All
for
right.
sure. Thank you.
JR, you just had copies, right? Yes. Well, we need at least one.
I made an extra, I made like 6.
Okay, that'll work, thanks.
Did he give you the original back?
Well, they probably got the
Is the
original.
original in there somewhere?
The original there, the other black.
Just sign another one.
You know what, I wrote on mine.
There's the original
They're
right
all,
there.
Yeah, I bet
You
the
got it.
original
I
wrote
can't tell which one.
probably where
Color
it should
copy.
be anyways.
Yeah, they're all look-
We want to set a date next week to sit down and start redlining, looking at everything.
I think in talking to them previously, Ron and Lily are gonna mostly
Are y'all
redline
gonna work all
everything.
that?
We'll work, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get his, we'll go back and forth a little bit and then.
Okay.
It'll get sent to us and we'll collectively
Then
sit
y'all-
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
Oh, which you may want to do.
Oh, yeah,
What?
pay schedules.
Yeah, for the laterals.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do.
Yeah, we're actually going to pay schedules.
And if y'all
all around.
do
I'll
them,
get it
just-
with Eddie. to get
You'll
that
just do them,
worked
send them to me? I forgot, and I'll plug them in.
Yes, yeah, and
Okay.
I told you, I knew we were gonna do that, I just didn't wanna
Okay.
have to keep making them change it into.
Oh, no, I agree. It works out, so I'll
Can you
just,
send them to me first so I can run the math on them, just to double check them?
well, they're gonna do the tables. And then, you're talking to the man that has a math education. Don't insult him. I'm a liberal arts major, I don't know anything. All right, you'll need to plug in that laterals too, if you
Yeah.
want to deal with
Yes.
that.
They have to take it to the membership to have it ratified. We'll have an exact.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully I have to have a special demo like that.
We done?
I think
I think we are. Does anybody else have
All
any?
right, let's hug it out.
Yeah.
In a non-sexual, non-confrontational, HR approved way. I want HR to approve the hugging it out. You don't want no